On today's show, Luka and Kyrie failed the Dallas Mavericks in Game 4 against the Thunder. We'll tell you why they didn't give the Mavericks what they needed on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
How about 10 Mavericks? NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show. Making Locked On Mavs your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show, whether they win or lose, is to like the video on YouTube, comment anything below, listen every day on any podcast platform, leave a 5-star review on all of those. You can do that if they win or lose. I just want to let you know that. And then welcome to all the OKC fans in the comments today. I hope you guys have a terrible day today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $100 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And joining me, because it's a Mavericks loss, we did not have Slightly Biased, the Vibes God.
Yeah, thanks slightly. I appreciate you allowing me to do a post game after a loss. Not just any loss, that loss. Appreciate you making space for me on this one. Yeah.
Reggie Adetula over 105.3 The Fan. What you got for me, Reggie?
I have a shout out.
Okay.
Shout out to Alejandro. He works on the in-house broadcast, and I'm sure this is exactly the episode that he wanted to shout out on.
Today we'll talk about all the missed opportunities in Game 4. The Mavs had an insane amount of missed opportunities in this game. They lose 196. They only score 15 points in the third quarter. Luka and Kyrie, not enough. Lots of other missed opportunities. Free throws, so many things we could get into. But Reggie, I got to start here. Luka and Kyrie failed the Dallas Mavericks in this game. This is one of those games where as the game was going, the Mavericks played better than the Thunder for 44 minutes of this game. Thoroughly, 44 minutes of this game. They look like the better team. The Thunder looked young. They looked their age. They looked like they're inexperienced. They looked exactly like, on paper, you would think that these two teams head-to-head, you would go, man, this Thunder team, super young, super inexperienced. This Mavericks team has experience and all that. And throughout this game, you go, man, the Mavs are getting away with a lot during this game. They're winning despite Luka and Kyrie not having a great game. They're winning despite all this happening. They're winning despite SGA going nuts and scoring a bunch. They're winning despite all these different little things. They're winning despite the free throw difference. And then you get to the end and the last 4 minutes, and the Thunder take the lead, and then all of a sudden all those things throughout the game that you go, man, the Mavs are really getting away with all these things, all of a sudden turn into reasons why they lose a game like this. And that, to me, starts with Luka and Kyrie. Luka and Kyrie in the second half of this game shot a combined 4 of 14 from the field. Missed all 4 of their threes. They had 10 assists combined, but they missed 3 free throws as well. Hit 50% of those free throws. Luka missed a free throw late that could have tied the game. Kyrie missed a couple of buckets late that could have got them close in the fourth quarter. And those two guys, it rises and falls on them, right? If you win games like this, you go, man, Luka and Kyrie gave you so much in so many different areas. Kyrie was defending his flat earth off. He was distributing and passing all over the place. I workshopped that one earlier.
Yeah.
You didn't like that one. And distributing all over the place, assists and kicking out to guys and making everybody feel confident. I was ready to go all in on this one play early in the game when Kyrie passed it back to Derrick Jones Jr. with this face on that just said, no, don't pass up this shot. Shoot the out of the ball. That's what he told Derrick Jones Jr. with that one look. And I was ready to go in on their leadership and everything. And then if you lose a game like this, it comes down to those guys not giving you what this team is designed to do. This team is designed to play enough defense, to have just enough offense from everybody else, but have 2 guys that are elite and give you elite scoring every single night. They have to have that. And they've been getting away with it until tonight, Reggie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, you started to get to the place that I wanted to go to, but, I mean, these guys are your superstars, right? And this is a game, as, we said, and I'll flip the thing that we say all the time on its head. This is a game that you traded Kyrie for, right? in a game that comes in, and Luka Doncic, we know that he's had the injuries, right? The knee. We know that he says that everything hurts, right? The shot has not quite been in the way that it needed to be. What is the thing that Kyrie talked about after game 3 that he got from a coach? We need you to come in and start doing this early. Clock in earlier, as we would say in our parlance. When did he clock in, right? Like, it did not happen in that way when it comes to putting points on the board, which is what the game is about. In addition to that, right, Luka Doncic, what position does he play?
Point guard.
What position is Kyrie, like, by trade necessarily?
Point guard number 2.
Why in the heck are you turning the ball over in the way that you did in this game, right? Like, we knew that this was one of the pressure points of this series.
Yeah.
Was the Thunder are able to strive, like, really thrive on creating fast break opportunities with turnovers. That was another thing that allowed them to get some level of feel in this game, some level of touch in this game, is when you turn over the basketball. That you can rest almost, I don't want to say exclusively, but almost exclusively Luka Doncic's hands. He had quite a few of those
turnovers.
Really ugly turnovers. Not even just the turn. I mean, there's a lot of them, but they were also a lot of live ball turnovers as opposed to dead ball turnovers. It was just, there's that aspect. And as much as I want to praise Kyrie, and we should, and we absolutely have, for the leadership that he has, in the same way, like, the way that they lost their head at some points in this game, if you're going to be leader guy, this is also where you have to take those two guys. There's a lot of places where you can go. You guys typically step up in these moments. You didn't in this one. And the difference between a 2-2 series and a 3-1 series is a huge one. And they have to hold that, being the leaders on your team.
They do. It comes down to them for all the good that they did in this game. And they did a lot of good, right? Luka had 18 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists. He had 7 turnovers as well. But he did a lot of good in this game, I thought, too.
Yeah.
And Kyrie, we mentioned the leadership. There, he had 9 assists. He only had 1 turnover. He didn't really add to that problem necessarily. His defense was amazing in this game. But for all the good that they did, it's completely undermined by their shooting overall in the game.
Yeah.
Kyrie took 11 shots. They've got to figure out, like, this is a thing that I've been concerned about with Kyrie now, and it's probably the most wrong thing that I was about this series in general, is that I thought for sure that Kyrie Irving would be one of the things that I knew exactly what you'd get from him. Yeah. I was like, he can give you 30 every night. He can go out there and score on anybody. He can score at any given point in any given moment, and I was not worried about Kyrie in the slightest at all in his scoring. And Jalen Williams has kind of single-handedly made me regret that take, and made me regret feeling so confident about Kyrie that he could give you everything that you needed in a game, because he has defended him really, really well. And a thing that's really bothered me about the Mavericks is they don't call plays for Kyrie. They don't run stuff for Kyrie. Kyrie goes out there and does his thing. Now it's the playoffs. Now it's time to give me a little bit more. Give me something else. Run something for Kyrie. Get Kyrie open. Now you got to help Kyrie out. As much as he has helped this offense and pushed, and Luka and Kyrie, Luka can do off of pick and rolls. He can do anything. Kyrie, let's run some stuff for Kyrie so that now he can get open, because you just can't survive this many games. Like, they won 2 games where Kyrie scored what? Was it 17 and 9 points? You just can't win that many games. It's just going to come back to bite you. And in Game 4, it absolutely did. Yeah,
and while we're doing these, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving critiques that are also kind of ostensibly critiques of the coaching staff, is this something where you bring up the notion of, hey, man, during the regular season, this is why we asked you to get out here and coach for some of these situations. It felt like they did not have enough, if you're talking about getting Kyrie into some actions. It felt like they did not have enough experience getting into some of these things, because they don't do that a ton. It's like, we know Kyrie can get what he wants, but what happens if Kyrie is having a little bit of a tough time getting into those places?
Do we know he can get what he wants now? Not in this series so far.
And it doesn't feel like there was a backup plan in that regard.
No, there was no secondary. There's no secondary thing. It was, all right, we're the thing is, they're sending extra help to Kyrie and Luka. We know this. Like, we know that they're doing that on OKC's defense, and that opens it up for Derek Jones Jr., for PJ Washington, who's been great, 21 points again in this game. Like, for all the OKC fans that were like, "Oh, PJ won't lead them in scoring again." Well, you guys were wrong 2 more times.
Yeah,
one's in a good way and one's in a bad way for OKC fans, but it opened it up for all the other role players, but you still got to get what you need from those stars, and they just absolutely did not get it. So coming up, let's talk about the other missed opportunities, because there's so many other things that happened in this game. Jason Kidd made a decision at the end of this game that baffles me to my core. I'll tell you what that is coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds to get you in on the action. If If you're really upset about the Mavs, maybe put some money down on the Dallas Stars. It seems like they're doing okay over there, so go check out.
Big win.
Huge win.
Big win. Pivotal win, in fact.
There you go. Put some money down on that as well. And you can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. So if you want to decide to put some money down, Stars, what game are they on?
They'll be going into Game 5.
Game 5, Stars minus 1.5 going into the game. So just a very slight favorite, not even the full home favorite there for the Dallas Stars. So you can go check that one out and see what else you can get on FanDuel. Check it out, FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Didn't get the full Dirk off.
I mean, never mind.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day, checking out the show. We appreciate each and every one of you. Check out the 24/7 Locked On Sports Dallas stream on YouTube and Amazon Fire. Shows like Locked On Mavs, Locked On Rangers, Locked On Cowboys, Locked On Stars, Dallas Stars. You can check them out, too. Great fans over there. Locked On Sports Dallas 24/7 stream on YouTube and Amazon Fire. All right, Reggie. We're talking about the Mavericks Game 4. They lose the game. Series is tied right now. Luka and Kyrie, I think it starts and finishes with those guys always. And so them not giving you enough scoring, there's things that you can blame in that. We talked about, can they call some plays for Kyrie to get him open a little bit? You've got to get his scoring in this game. So maybe that's on the coaching staff a little. Maybe that's also on Kyrie. But there's so many other missed opportunities in this game. I mean, absolutely. And the other missed opportunities outside of Luka and Kyrie, I think starts at the free throw line.
Yeah.
12 of 23 from the free throw line, and the Thunder went 23 of 24. You could honestly look at that and just say, hey, that was the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a little bit of some Thunder media sitting next to me, and at the end of the game,
it was not Ryland Styles.
It was not Ryland, but one of them turns to me and says, free throws, that's the game there. And, it's impossible to ignore. Knocking down your free throws when you're not being defended in your home arena, what is stopping you there? I don't know. And, I mean, we talk about how, Luka Doncic, we've gotten to that place. Luka also, he was 4-6, but,
he missed the one late that could have tied it. That was a huge one.
I mean, he missed a pressure one, and it feels like everyone on the floor, in fact, it is. Everyone on the floor missed at least one free throw at the line. Like, this is something that across the board as a team, everybody holds a level of responsibility for. And I don't know what you do about that, but it can't be that. It just can't be that. How do you fix that? I am not smart enough to know, because if I was, somebody would be paying me to do that. But it can't be that.
And instead, I'm paying you to do this.
After a loss. Thanks again for that. Just wanted to make sure that I was happy about that.
But, yeah, it wasn't like any one player was the one that missed. It wasn't like they did the hack-a-lively thing again,
right,
where he's missing a bunch of free throws. He didn't, right? He went 1 of 3, so he missed 2. But Luka missed 2. PJ missed 2. Kyrie missed 1, which is surprising. Derrick Jones Jr. missed 2. Lively missed 2. And then, and that was it. That's all the free throws. So just everybody collectively got to be better at that. Like, that is just something as a team you got to get some of those easy ones. The Mavs won the rebounding battle. I just need to point that out for Isaac Harris out there. Shout out.
Yeah, but the thing about the rebounding battle was you were winning the rebounding battle fairly handily in the first half, if I remember correctly. It was the second half where you allowed them to out-rebound you. In
28 to 25 second half.
And you should not be losing the rebounding battle in any position, in any period.
They just kept missing shots. The thing about rebounding, which it's all a joke because Isaac once said that rebounds don't matter, and now he's never lived it down.
That's right.
The thing about rebounds is that once you start missing a bunch of shots, the Mavs shot 34% in the second half. There's way more available defensive rebounds to the Thunder, and so it really isn't that big of a deal.
But there was some offensive rebounds in there, and there was a couple of possessions where that allowed the Thunder, who were not shooting well, to get up enough shots, and that was some of the catalyst of what they did here. And
they had been dominating the offensive rebounding battle before this.
Yes.
And to end a game 12-12 in offensive rebounds, that's a missed opportunity for the Mavericks. The three-point percentage was absolutely a big win by the Mavericks.
Yeah.
It was a Magnets game for a while, but then the Thunder just decided to all of a sudden make some threes. They scored 20 points in the first quarter, 23 in the second, 22 in the third, and the fourth quarter they hit 6 of their 16 threes. And it just opened wide up for them.
And that's one of the missed opportunities that I want to talk about, because I thought this was a game in which the Mavericks did a phenomenal job perimeter defense-wise. Like, you know that this team predicates a lot of what they do in the Thunder when it's starting off with drives, particularly from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and J-Dub, Jalen Williams. And you did a fantastic job not letting them turn the corner on anybody, which means they couldn't start and initiate anything that they were doing. As the game wore on, that intensity on the perimeter fell. You saw them start getting to that spot. And some of this is a credit to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because he wore you down, starting with, if I can't quite turn the corner, I'm going to step back on you and hit a multitude of mid-range jumpers to the point where now you're just a little bit slower, you're just a little bit more hesitant, and then he started turning the corner. And then at that point, he's able to get threes for his teammates. And after a while of missing it, then they start knocking those down, right? If you can manage to maintain that intensity, you can beat the mess out of this team because you stopped the entire offensive flow of this. You didn't. You let up, and you allowed them to get back into this.
And so many missed opportunities you can talk about. I mean, the offense in the second half, really, just in the entire second, or just that third quarter, really. That third quarter was so bad that, like, the Mavs were dominating this game. Everybody felt really good about it. There was a bunch of fans coming up to me and you, and we're talking about, oh, they got this. Like, the Mavs got this. I was texting people and just saying, like, oh, the Mavs, they'll win this game. Like, I feel confident. Oh, they're going to go up 3. I was so excited to do a post-game win show and all that. And then
as was I, Nick. As was I.
we're 2 for 2 in segments. Reggie bringing up the fact that he's doing a post-game loss instead. But that third quarter, 5 of 20 from the field. You just Luka and Kyrie took 2 shots each in that quarter. Their offense was just so bad. There's so many missed opportunities in that they did not capitalize on how well they were playing earlier in the game, how well defensively they were playing earlier in the game. And that came back to bite them in a massive, massive way. When the three-point percentage started to go back, the Thunder weren't going to go 1 of 11 the whole game.
No.
Right? Like, they didn't. They didn't finish that.
And you allowed them to stay attached. And this is another place where we can kind of talk about Luka and we could talk about Jason Kidd. But in a roundabout way, I want to start with Mark Daigneault, right? One of the things that's tough in a playoff series is if you feel like you have a good strategy, sticking with it when it loses. And the Thunder had, during the course of this series, had decided they were not going to let you get the lobs and they were going to live with the three-point shots. And P.J. Washington broke them. He broke them, knocking down those threes. And they made a decision in this game that they were going to try and, as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander said, shut the water off. And what that meant was they were playing those pick and rolls that the Mavs play off the wing and those things. They were not peeling in that extra help, which meant you were going 2-on-2. And with Luka Doncic and the bigs that you have, that was dunk city. We saw that in the first half. You did not adequately take enough advantage of that. And you did a good job of that to really make them pay for wavering on their commitment to their defensive plan. They made a decision to move away from what was working from them, and you did not get a win off of that. That is a huge missed opportunity in my book.
Absolutely. So here's the thing that I mentioned earlier. The egregious Jason Kidd decision at the end of the game that I do not understand to this day. End of the game, fourth quarter. All right, you're getting to a point where you're only up 2 points. There's 4:40 left in the game. Mavs call a timeout, and Kidd puts in this lineup: Luka, Kyrie, Tim Hardaway Jr., the third worst Tim, as I'm telling this to Tim Cato in front of me. Tim Hardaway Jr., P.J. Washington, and Derek Lively. To put Tim Hardaway Jr. into this game at the end, when in crunch time, when they needed him most, and they needed defense the most at the end. They just needed to keep grinding out the same kind of game they had played the whole time. Play excellent defense, not give up easy stuff. And to put Tim in this game, I do not understand that decision at all. I looked at Landon Thomas, who stood next to me, and just said, Where's Derek? Where's Derek Jones Jr.? Why is Tim out there right now? That's a decision I just do not understand at that point. I don't think it completely lost them the game. There's other missed opportunities. That wasn't the first thing I brought up. Yeah. But I do not understand putting Tim in there because he did hit a 3, but he also had an awful turnover right out of that. Or as soon as he gets checked in, SGA hits a bucket on him to tie the game. And then you get an awful Tim Hardaway Jr. turnover with a minute left. Jalen scored, and then the Thunder went up 5 at that point with a minute left, and that really, really killed them at the end. And so it was mistakes by Tim, who had a good game 2, and you all of a sudden were like, and then in game 3, I praised Kidd. I gave Kidd credit for not like overreacting and playing Tim too much. Right. And then now he closes with him in the game, and I just don't understand that decision because that's not the way that you had been dominating this game up to that point.
Yeah, I don't necessarily understand this coaching staff's stance with Tim, because they clearly respect him to a certain degree, and I think that that's fair, right? And I know there's a lot of people rolling their eyes, but I think that he
Sixth man of the year for most of the year.
A level of respect, especially for the ability to knock down shots, and you saw that even in this game. You saw in certain situations, knocking down shots when you needed them was important. However, understanding his strengths and weaknesses is something that it seemed like, as you mentioned there, this team had started to get a grasp of. And putting him in on defense is not one of his strengths, right? Like, I think that that's very evident. And in this time, you have Derrick Jones Jr., who has been, in this game especially, had been very good for you, getting blocks, and also provided a level of vertical aspect from the corner that you had not been able to get a ton of. Like, everything points to Derrick Jones Jr. playing in that moment, and I'm with you. I'm flabbergasted. I'm lost for an excuse.
With 9 seconds left, they needed the intentional foul, and they throw Tim in there with the small ball lineup with the rest of those wings. And I just, instead of like a Kyrie, or I guess Kyrie would have fouled out, instead of like a Luka or somebody. And yeah, I don't understand them using him in that way at the end of the game. It baffled me. It didn't really make any sense. I think that he had 2 huge mistakes at the end of the game where SGA scored on him, and then he got that turnover. He did hit the 3 to make up for one of them, but it went back to the way that the Mavs used to have to win games. Oh, we just got to outscore the other team because we're making these mistakes on defense, but we'll make up for it with this huge 3 that I hit right then. And that's not how this Mavericks team had been winning games, and that's not how this Mavericks team had been winning games this series. Coming up, what other missed opportunities did the Mavericks have? Let's go player by player and talk about what we saw from everybody else on today's Locked On Mavs. Today's episode is brought to you by Quiiiz. Quiiiz is daily fantasy made easy. March is over, April's over, but there's still a bunch of fun things in sports. You've got the NBA playoffs, you've got the NHL playoffs that you can do. The WNBA is starting up right away, and so all you have to do is go to Quiiiz, pick 2 or 6 players, and more or less on their stat projections on all kinds of different stats that you can pick. Right now, I'm on here, and they've got Anthony Edwards, 30.5 points, more or less, against Denver. Give me more, just for the fun of it. Jalen Brunson, points, rebounds, and assists against the Pacers in, what is that, Game 5? 43.5? Give me less on that one. We'll see what happens with that one. Tyrese Halliburton, 20.5 points, more or less against the Knicks. Give me more on that one. Let's see what happens. Put down $20 on that. I can win 100. Let me add one more. I got Josh Hart, rebounds plus assists, 18.5. Give me less on that one. If I put down $20, I can win 200 on that one. So go check out Quiiiz, see what's available for you. It changes all the time. You got to keep going back to the website. Again, that's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use that code LockedOnNBA, all lowercase, LockedOnNBA for first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Reggie, we're talking about missed opportunities the Mavericks had in their loss against the Oklahoma City Thunder in Game 4. It's now a 2-2 series.
And it doesn't feel like that.
No, the Mavs played better than the Thunder in like 44 out of the 48 minutes of this game.
Yeah.
And now...
I mean, it's a 3-game series, which is something that I think coming into this series...
it starts over.
A lot of people would have been okay with, but I think just the taste and the way that this one went down after dominating the entirety of it, I thought that it's a little deflating, but I think putting it back in context that it is indeed a 2-2 series is worthwhile.
Yeah, it feels Tom Brady deflating right now.
Right.
That's what it feels right now.
Okay.
The roast inspired me. Other missed opportunities. I thought that, PJ I thought was giving him really good stuff. He had 21 points in this game, and then it that did kind of turn off for him in the second half because he had 11 in the first half, went 4 of 10, and then the second half, he still had 10 points, but went 3 of 9. And it's one of those where it's great when you get a bunch from him, but then when you start relying on it, it felt like they started relying on PJ, and then all of a sudden you're like, this is not found money anymore. This is this is part of our game plan because we're not getting enough from our 2 stars.
And even sometimes then, it felt like when the right pass was getting it to PJ on the swing, they went away from that late in the game in order to try and attack the basket. And I understand that wanting to really get at the defense. But if you're in that place where you're in some ways committed to that, it feels like, continue to be committed to that, especially on a night where he was shooting the ball pretty well.
Yeah, I thought that was a missed opportunity. There are so many weird things to end this game. There was the, about a minute 30, Jalen Williams right in front of us, like right here on this baseline, had that weird double dribble where he kind of picked up his dribble and then didn't get called, and then he hits a layup. The Thunder go up by 3 at that point. They were only up 1. I thought that was a real missed opportunity there, and a missed call. And then right after that, Tim has that awful pass, and Jalen scores off of that. And then also on that, when Tim throws the terrible pass, Dort gets the steal. He kind of steps out of bounds and is throwing the ball at the same time. And they replayed it, and it was really close. I think Dort got the ball out in time, but he steps out of bounds, and that could have been a missed opportunity too. Both teams went 3 of 3 in their challenges, and
quite a few of them on both sides looked kind of dubious when the call goes in, and you see the video and you go, oh, okay, I guess you won that one.
But like on that Jalen Williams double dribble one with a minute 30 left, like you can't call a challenge on something that wasn't called.
Yeah,
it has to be an actual call that's made. You can't call it on nothing that happens. Man, just so many.
Can I throw one more in here? So with 2:36 thereabouts, you had a pick and roll with Luka Doncic and Lively, the 1-5 pick and roll. You throw it up, Lively gets dunked, and in that moment I was like, wait, when was the last time that we saw that pick and roll for the dunk? Because in the first half, that was the entire, not the entirety of the offense, being facetious, but like there was a lot of that available to them, and it felt like the Mavs almost forgot that was something that was available to them for a little while. And I understand that Oklahoma City started working to take that back away at the start of the third quarter, but it felt like they never returned to that, or at least once they returned to it, it was a lot later than they should have. When one of the best shots in the game is right at the rim, and especially with the verticality that you can. Yeah, that's right. I don't know if you knew this analytically, but a dunk is in fact the best shot that you can get in the game of basketball. That's a Reggie stat for you, and
that's why we bring you in for the big games,
especially the losses. Thanks for that.
3 for 3.
That's right. But yeah, it felt like that's something that has been a bread and butter staple for you for the entirety of the season. And with the verticality that you have on this team, it felt like you waited a little too long to try and get back to that, to try and probe for that in this game when you were starting to lose a little bit of the rope.
Man, and did they lose it? They absolutely did. And Luka missed the free throw towards the end, and then there was the weird foul on SGA against PJ with 3 seconds left that neither team wanted. Both teams were complaining the whole game. If they decided to honor the wave off thing, where if you wave off of a ref, Luka would have been suspended for 2 more games after this one if they did that. But neither team wanted that foul with 3 seconds left. Like neither the Thunder thought it was fair, or the Mavs were like, we didn't want that foul. That's not the one that we wanted. PJ went 1 of 2 from the free throw line then, and that could have got them a little closer. But man, just so many missed opportunities in this game that the Mavs just didn't take advantage of.
Yeah, I just keep coming back to, man, this should be 3-1. Right, like you should be controlling your destiny and giving yourself as good an opportunity.
If you're the team, how do you feel after a game like this? Do you look at it and go, man, we just missed our shot, or do you look at all the things that they messed up on? Look at all the things that, oh man, we gave this one away, but we've got more we can show. Like which
that's got to be the coaching point. It's got to be the coaching point that you did so many things right. And that's not enough. You need to make sure to do all of the things right, all right? You guys are very good. This is a very good team, a very talented team, thanks to what Nico Harrison has done throughout the course of his time here, and particularly at the trade deadline. This is a very good team, but you have to do all of the work. You
think they're still a good team?
I still think they're a good team, right? And you cannot rest on your laurels at any given point, right? It's something it's a message that they are quick to echo during, after wins in the post-game press conferences. We ain't done nothing yet.
Yeah.
You need to have that same mentality during the course of the game. I don't care if that's, in the third quarter and you're up by 11 points or what have you. You need to make sure to see it out until that final buzzer, and they didn't in this game, and that's something that obviously you got to hit hard again, I imagine.
Yeah, they still outplayed them for 44 out of 48 minutes.
Yeah.
You can do it again. You can do the same things that you did before. The Thunder missed a bunch of threes, but you look at who took the threes for the Thunder before that fourth quarter. Dort took 10. Giddey took 3. Aaron Wiggins took 3. And you only got 2 from Jalen Williams. You got 1 from SGA. And so, the guys that you want to be taking threes are, the Mavs game plan so far has made the Thunder do the things that the Mavs want them to do. And so you're not feeling encouraged after this, but you're also not feeling so down. You're like, oh, my God. We just we got nothing. Like, we got nothing for this team.
Right, and I mean, in the playoffs, that we got nothing is typically because you don't have answers. You have answers.
Yeah, you still
just
do.
got to execute them.
They
This
have-
is about execution.
Yeah, they haven't made any real adjustments yet. The Mavericks haven't.
Okay.
They are still not playing. They're still not playing their centers on Chet. They're playing PJ, or they're playing Derrick Jones Jr., or they're playing somebody else on
Shout
Chet.
out to Mark Dagnall for running number 3 out there consistently.
And that has worked for them. But Chet did get 18 points. He had 5 free throws towards the end. But yeah, that has worked for them. That's kind of maybe a mini adjustment that they've sort of made, is not put one of their centers on him. But other than that, like we haven't seen the PJ Washington at 5. We haven't seen the Mavs run plays for Kyrie. Is that an adjustment? I feel like that's like a weird adjustment that they could still make. Isn't that a weird thing? Call plays for your star player.
One of them, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's
an adjustment.
You saw it in game 3 when you started the game with Kyrie running the show because you wanted to get Luka off ball. You wanted to try and help him, rest as much as he could during the course of this. They have opportunities to do good things. Again, you just have to hit the notes, right?
Yeah.
If the sheet music is in front of you, you have to play the notes.
It's a great analogy.
I got bars
It's a
in me,
great
guys.
analogy.
You know how much better this would have been after a win? Do you understand that?
Here. Take the towel. Take the towel and wipe your tears. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow with more. I'll have more on this and what the Mavericks do going forward on this one. Can Kyrie and Luka give them enough to win this series after what we've seen after 4 games? We'll talk about that tomorrow. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked on Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom!